The crisis of Evergrande, China's second largest real estate company, is getting worse and worse. Recently, Evergrande's crisis has entered a new stage. The nationwide protesters groups protesting Evergrande used to be people of property owners, construction parties, and banks and other investors. But now, Evergrande's own employees are also joining the protesting wave. Many people are aware of the overnight arrests made by the Shenzhen city police, but the government strictly controls and labels that news as rumors. It really raises the curiosity for us as to how Evergrande was doing its money cheating. How could Evergrande grow to such a fat and bloated giant? It is also interesting to see, as China's second largest real estate company, how Evergrande has gained its overweighted fat from its 200,000 employees and thousands of other cooperative enterprises over the past few years. Welcome to Beyond the News, I'm Faye. 2 months ago, small numbers of people started appearing every other time in front of Evergrande's headquarters building in Shenzhen city, asking for overdue payments. These people were from construction companies, suppliers, and even migrant workers. However, the sporadic debt collection incidents were not enough to cause any big storms until September 8. The debt collection incidents in front of Evergrande's headquarters suddenly escalated. On this day, Evergrande Wealth, a subsidiary of Evergrande, announced that it would postpone the due principal payments to investors. Right after the announcement, hundreds of thousands of Evergrande's investors started to join the storm of debt collection. Many of the investors also traveled to Evergrande's local head offices from all over the country for the same purpose. According to incomplete statistics from Caixin.com, in the cities of Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Xi'an, Jinan, Chengdu, Nanchang, etc., on the 12th and 13th this month, there were desperate investors seen trading the executives of the local branch of Evergrande. The current overdue amount of wealth management products from Evergrande's wealth has reached 40 billion yuan. What is unexpected is that most of the debt chasers are the former employees of Evergrande, and among them, they are mainly former senior executives of Evergrande. Most of them had worked in the group for more than 10 years. Their personal wealth is deeply tied to the company, and the majority of their salaries were used to invest in Evergrande's various financial products. Evergrande's wealth management products are Evergrande's main internal fundraising channels for individuals. A person who once worked in Evergrande's asset management operation center said that in China, when a real estate company hopes to obtain financing from a financial institution for a project, the financial institution often puts forward many conditions to the borrower. This includes making the borrower corporate executives personally invest a certain amount of money so as to tie the executives to the project. For such a co-investment mechanism, when the business is smooth and the market environment is good, it can be a win-win situation for both the business and investors. But once the project runs into problems, the risk will be great for the executives too. For example, Evergrande Wealth has a fundraising product for executives called the Super Treasure Collection. By the end of 2017, the Super Treasure Collection had sent out 7 issues to the employees within Evergrande. So, what is going on with this Super Money Collection? To give a specific example, in May 2017, when the project of Evergrande wanted to raise funds from China's CITIC Bank, the bank required Evergrande's senior management to also invest in the same project. Therefore, in order to obtain the financing, Evergrande issued indicators to internal employees. Using the name of Super Treasure Collection, a fancy naming wealth management product, to ask Evergrande's own employees to invest. And 2 years later, the investor will have all of their principal money and interest paid back. Each investment needed to start at 3 million yuan. A person at the level of Deputy General Manager of Evergrande said, 3 million yuan is not a small amount. I have to mobilize my subordinates to participate. My subordinates each signed a holding agreement with me, so I invested 1.5 million yuan and my subordinates invested the rest 1.5 million yuan. and we purchased the Super Treasure collection under my name. He also said that this practice was not uncommon within the Evergrande group. Some people don't hesitate to go all in with bank loans because the 55% annual interest of the Super Treasure collection is much higher than any kind of loan interest rate. However, Evergrande's crisis began to approach quietly in 2019, when it should have been the due repayment of the Super Treasure collection. Evergrande asked the employee investors to agree to postpone the repayment for 1 year, that is, postpone the repayment until 2020. And then in 2020, when the extended payment was due, the company asked for yet another extension for 1 more year. In other words, the original 2-year term investment, principal and interest were dragged on for 4 years, and investors did not get their principal back. The interest payments were partially paid. From early times when Evergrande started to have the wealth management products, it began to sell its own products to its employees, sometimes forcefully, and forcing employees to jointly undertake the wealth management business. For example, in the Evergrande Anhui company, if the completion rate of selling their wealth management products is higher than 100%, then a card reward of 0.25% of the completed task amount will be given. If the completion rate is less than 100%, then 30% of the total bonus of the leader or from the project's overall bonus will be deducted. In a worse scenario, employee salaries would also be deducted. An internal employee of Evergrande Wealth said that under such policies, the company's wealth management products have got a good sales momentum from the beginning. In the past, Evergrande Wealth product yield rate was good, plus the forceful policy from the company, so the employees bought a lot of these products, and also they persuaded their relatives and friends to purchase the products. So Evergrande's fundraising trick was a cascading escalation effect that operated in a never-before-seen scale and speed of money collection. Well, it is only seen in China under the special business and social environment. The same former employee of Evergrande said that a 20 million wealth management product may be able to complete its fundraising in an average of 5 days. On the platform, there are often 3 or 4 similar financial products issued in a day. Plus other tricks played by the company, the fundraising amount usually resulting in an overkilled amount. Counting everything together, if 4 such similar products are released every day, the total fundraising scale that can be achieved in 5 days can reach nearly 300 million yuan. For such a scale of financing, with more than 200,000 employees in its disposal, it is inconceivable how much money Evergrande has collected using the name of the Evergrande's wealth products. I'm sure this is another state secret from China that we would not be able to know. In addition to binding its own employees, another favorite way that Evergrande was using was to squeeze money out from Evergrande's local project constructors and partners. A person who has worked in the engineering department of Evergrande for more than 10 years revealed that every time a construction fund is paid to the construction party, Evergrande will require the construction party to purchase their wealth management products. If 1 or 2 million yuan is settled, Evergrande usually requires the other party to purchase basically 10% of the payment. The construction party will usually consider future cooperation opportunities with Evergrande, and it will usually accept these additional conditions, which is equivalent to giving money back into Evergrande with its own payment. There is another trick that Evergrande used to collect money, the so-called commercial acceptance bill. In addition to requiring business partners to purchase Evergrande's wealth management products, Evergrande often does not do advanced payments, but uses its own commercial acceptance bill supported by its own corporate credit for settlement. Well, this is another important financing method of Evergrande. What is the commercial acceptance bill, though? Let's briefly explain it. First, it is easier to understand a bank acceptance bill. For example, Company A wants to buy a batch of goods or services from Company B. The total amount is 10 million yuan. But Company A does not wish to pay cash for the moment. Maybe A has no cash in hand. So A negotiates with B. A can give B the bank acceptance bill in exchange. Then B agrees to A's term in order to complete the transaction. So A went to his own bank and applied for a bank acceptance bill. The intention was to specify that within a certain period of time, A would pay 10 million yuan to B, but A has no money in hand for now, so A asks the bank to provide a promise that is a guarantee. When this bill of exchange expires, the bank can unconditionally redeem the amount on this bill from A's account and paying B the money. Then A will give this bank acceptance bill to B. When it expires, B can use this bill to get A's payment from the bank. Now, corporate commercial bills are working in a similar way, except that the commercial acceptance bill is not guaranteed by banks, but the guarantee is provided by the enterprise. I guess you can smell a rat by now. Yeah, Evergrande is the rat. Beginning in 2017, Evergrande's subsidiaries and project companies in various regions began to issue a large number of commercial acceptance bills. Initially, the annual interest rate of this acceptance bill was between 15% to 16%, starting from the end of 2017. Evergrande's acceptance bills promised annual interest rate exceeded 20% and even rose to 30% by the end of 2018. In contrast, other real estate companies with relatively low leverage and low debt risk, such as China Resources Land, have an annual commercial acceptance bill interest rate as low as 4.5%. Therefore, it can be seen that Evergrande's cash flow issue should have been quite desperate starting a few years back. It has reached a very severe degree, and it is worth noting that commercial acceptance bills are not subjected to supervision and are not counted as interest-bearing debts. Therefore, Evergrande's issuance of commercial acceptance bill with such a high annual interest rate is very risky. Evergrande's cash-in-hand crisis have long since reached the point where it has to take the risk, binding a huge number of its creditors with it. According to a Reuters report, in 2020, China's entire commercial acceptance bill market had issued 3.6 trillion yuan, a 20% increase over the previous year, and Evergrande Group is the largest commercial acceptance bill issuer. At the year of 2020, Evergrande Real Estate had issued commercial acceptance bill worth 205.7 billion yuan, an increase of 24% over what was issued at 2019. Also note that not all commercial acceptance bill will be integrated into the financial statements for real estate companies. That means the Evergrande actual debt is likely to be much larger than the figures we can see. This new wave of creditor rights protesting has allowed us to have a more comprehensive insight into the true nature of Evergrande's debts. And from one angle, it tells us how some of the big Chinese corporations are growing in size. Speaking of this, Evergrande's internal fundraising from its own employees in the name of investment and financial management, as well as threats and inducements against third-party companies requiring them to purchase Evergrande's financial management products. The way how Evergrande sucks money around it like a wealth vortex. It profoundly explains how companies transfer debts to lower-level companies and the individuals of tens of thousands of ordinary people in China. Such a special financing model is not unique to Evergrande in China, but it can only be seen in China, under the unique social environment. Strange enough, in the past 10 years, even under the high financial stress, Evergrande has distributed dividends every year to its shareholders, and the dividend rate had always been as high as 50%, which was much higher than the 20-30 dividend rate from other real estate giants such as the Poly, Country Garden, etc. Evergrande's total dividends since its listing in 2009 has reached nearly 70 billion yuan, of which 53 billion yuan have gone to the boss Xu and his wife and other important shareholders, those high-rank officials behind him. This is another unique phenomenon only seen in China. The company has been struggling financially for years, but the ones staying on the top food chain are still enjoying the high rate of returns every year. What do you have to say about this? Let me know in the comment below. In our previous episode, we talked about how Evergrande, as such a giant company, has risen and fallen in response to policy changes in China in the past 20 years. And today, we explore the internal factor that leading to its current crisis. If you liked the video, please give me a like and hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for watching Beyond the News. I'm Faye. Until next time.